who would like to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. My name is Mark Smith. I'm with the law firm of Miller Martin. I'm one of the lobbyists for Volkswagen. And at the outset, I'd like to share with you that Chairman Watson has been open to us. He has been more than receptive to hearing out our concerns. And in terms of the public safety issues, I'd like to say that we don't quibble with making sure that matters like signs, which are currently tested, are sufficiently covered in the exam. What we would submit to you is that a one-size-fits-all, English-only, with no exception legislation is perhaps not the gesture of Southern hospitality that we think that companies looking to Tennessee are looking for. Just to give you a little bit of big picture perspective, and our angle is a matter of economic development. In terms of economic development, if you look at our surrounding states, the states that we compete with day in, day out for projects like the billion-dollar Volkswagen project, all of those states permit testing in more than one language. Kentucky, I believe, permits testing in 20-some-odd languages. It is, we submit, a good gesture of Southern hospitality for the state to come to these companies with open arms. And I'd just like to, I'm only up here today because Mr. Garcia left this committee with the impression that Volkswagen had signed off on this legislation. In fact, what has happened is one of the executives from Volkswagen has let the chairman know, and I believe we've shared with Chairman Watson, concerns about this legislation. It is not acceptable to Volkswagen. Volkswagen has not signed off on the legislation. It is an appreciated gesture and one that we would urge this committee to think perhaps more carefully from an economic development standpoint before you go down the road of sending a signal to the economic development community that English should only be spoken here. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Are there questions of Mr. Smith? Representative Shipley, you're recognized.
Mr. Smith, that speaks closely to blackmail. I don't think Volkswagen came to the United States because they could drive without speaking English. I think we're mixing apples and oranges. I don't see the connection in the logic. And to suggest that we would be less than hospitable by supporting the language of this country, I don't see that connection either. This is a public safety issue. This is America. These are Americans that are driving these roads. And again, I reiterate, I don't think they came here because we allowed them to speak German and take a test. They came here because Americans are good employees and because America is a safe place for people to work. So if we're going to talk about this, I would really appreciate if we keep the facts as they are and not mix apples and oranges. It clearly feels like apples and oranges to me, and I don't think Volkswagen is going to leave Tennessee because we do something that's safety oriented, and that's exactly what Chairman Watson's his objective is here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shipley. Anyone else? Thank
Chairman.
you, Mr. Smith. Yes, you can respond.
Well, I just wanted to quickly respond to the suggestion and Representative Shipley to reassure you that in our discussions with Chairman Watson, public safety, we have recognized that issue. I regret that I left any member of this subcommittee with an impression that there was somehow blackmail involved. You are correct, sir, that Volkswagen did not come to Tennessee simply because of tests being available in German. I would submit to you that one of the reasons, and we should share with you one of the communications from Volkswagen, but one of the reasons that Volkswagen did come here was because of the Southern hospitality, the warm welcome that these executives felt. It was, if you hear the announcement in Chattanooga, the famous line is, at one point, the intangible became tangible. That is, that what we can't put in a spreadsheet became very clear to Volkswagen that Tennessee was the place that they wanted to be. And all I was trying to suggest, sir, was that from an economic development standpoint, it is a gesture of Southern hospitality, and to suggest to you, sir, that perhaps there's a way to find some common ground as between the public safety concerns and making sure that we continue to be a welcome place for foreign-based investments. The very first thing that I saw, and that maybe in Chairman Dean's district, when Volkswagen announced the word Willkommen was on the headlines of the Chattanooga Times Free Press. First Tennessee Bank said Willkommen, and I personally have learned just a little bit, and I'll spare this subcommittee. I've learned a little bit of German because it's Southern hospitality, and so all I was trying to suggest, Representative Shipley, was that it is a part of the overall solution. It was something that Volkswagen very much appreciated, and but I'm not here, sir, to suggest that if this bill passes, Volkswagen is going anywhere. We all know that they are very glad to be here. But this is a consideration, and I just ask that you consider finding a balance between public safety concerns and the image that we present to the international community.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Let's see.